Many thanks, Emmanuel. To further discuss this, I'm joined by legal practitioner Liborous Oshoma. Liborous, thank you very much for joining us. Now, the state attorney generals are saying that the formation of the EFCC, being a fallout of the UN Convention on Anti-Corruption, did not follow the provisions of the Nigerian Constitution. And then on the flip side, the federal government is arguing that the legality of the EFCC as a federal agency to tackle statewide corruption has been decided by the same Supreme Court previously. So considering the endemic nature of corruption in the country, will Nigeria, in your view, survive the fight against corruption if the Supreme Court decides that the EFCC is standing on a wrong foundation?
Thank you very much. We make it look as if corruption can only be fought at the federal level. We operate a federal constitution. And so for you to fight corruption, agreeing that is endemic, the entire country, the state and the local government must be carried along. That's basically what the states are saying, that Section 12, subsection 3 of the 1999 Constitution as amended makes provision for how a convention can be adopted into our laws. And considering the fact that the Supreme Court in the state of in the case of Joseph Wombike against the Federal Republic of Nigeria has identified the fact that this EFCC Act is a fallout of the United Nations Convention, and that for us to truly adopt that law into our laws, to have a holistic statewide application, it must comply with subsection 3 of subsection 2 of section 12 of the 1999 Constitution. So, to answer your question directly, we have enough capacity to fight corruption. It must not just be from one end where the federal government is making it look as if it is the headmaster who will have to whip every other person, including state and local government chairman, into line. And like a colleague of mine, the example a colleague of mine gave is like a lawyer who is alleged to be a fake lawyer, who is alleged not to be qualified, who has been practicing law for the past 20 years as a fake lawyer, and then you now say because he's been winning cases, let us allow him continue. The challenge by the state is that the EFCC, legally speaking, is standing on the wrong footing. And you can't fight corruption. An illegal organization cannot truly, in all honesty, fight corruption. So the entire country must be carried along in fighting that corruption. That's basically what they're saying. And I think I agree with them.
Okay, at the resumed hearing on Tuesday, today that is, Imo, Bauchi and Osun states joined the suit as co-plaintiffs, while Anambra, Ebonyi and Adamawa states said they are withdrawing their suits. How significant is this withdrawal to the likely outcome?
You know, when this suit was filed, I will tell you that there's a lot of lobbying going on. Anambra, you know, there's an election coming up in Anambra. So even though the ruling party there is ABGA, definitely want the cooperation of the government at the center. That's some of the things we are saying, that where everybody will have to kowtow to the government at the center, where the government at the center will have to, you know, use blackmail, subtle blackmail and negotiations to ensure state compliance. So states like Anambra, you know, will always, you know, find a way to get the support of the federal government. But be that as it may, 3 states withdrew, 3 states joined. You still have 19 states challenging the validity or otherwise of the EFCC Act, the NFIU Act, and the ICPC Act. And quickly, let me touch on the case of Nasarawa State. Even if the Nasarawa State is saying that they are not challenging the validity or legality of the establishment of the NFIU, but indirectly, what they are still doing is challenging the validity or legality otherwise of its establishment. Because if you say the directive that they had given, it's not in compliance with the state practice, or what it means is that, look, the state needs to be carried along in carrying out this federal government establishment or these federal government agencies that have been established by the federal government to check corruption. So, head or tail, basically, they are saying the same thing. It's just a question of semantics. And I do not see why the federal government will be hell-bent on insisting that, look, you know, these other cases have been decided before. The question is, no court had decided the validity, legality, or otherwise of the establishment of the EFCC or NFIU. What they had decided before now is whether the National Assembly has the power to make laws, you know, to establish the EFCC Act. But whether its validity, whether the states need to be carried along in establishing, you know, the EFCC had never been decided by the Supreme Court, which is why this case is different. The issues are different. So the question of issue estoppel or estoppel res judicata cannot apply in this matter because the issues are different from what had been decided previously.
All right, before we let you go, considering what we know about state governments, governors themselves, and how they treat state house assemblies as appendages, does the state have any mechanism or capacity, in your view, to fight corruption?
No, certainly they do. We agree that our states are not, you know, in terms of practicing what you call true federalism, the state are still lagging behind. But I think these things are caused by the federal government. You find a situation where the federal government will act as, like I said, you know, as a headmaster. Some states, like Kano State, for example, have been struggling to bring Ganduje, his former governor, to book, using their own internal mechanism. But the federal government has been frustrating it because it controls the EFCC. Kaduna State, for example, also, there's been battle between the State House of Assembly, the governor, the current governor, and the former governor to bring the former governor to account. But has EFCC ever invited these people? No, because they belong to the government at the center. Tell me, as people have complained about the attitude of the previous Attorney General, the attitude of the previous government, has the EFCC ever deemed it fit to invite any former president in Nigeria? The answer is no. So the state have mechanism, but it now beholds on the people to actually demand that these mechanisms be put in place so we can truly practice a federal structure. I believe that if we stretch and demand that the state, even at the local government level, you know, mechanisms be put in place, we can actually achieve it. Even the EFCC that we're talking about, how well has EFCC fared also in terms of holding government that is in power accountable? It's almost the same thing. So it's all of us. It behoves on us. You can't have an agency in a federal system where it's like a poster boy of the government at the center, who they use to whip anybody that is not in support of the government in line. Like the former governor of Edo State, Oshoma, once said, once you join the party, ruling party at the center, then your sins will be forgiven, and the EFCC will not look your way.
You do have a point. At the heart of our challenge is the will to do the right thing. Let's see what happens with the Supreme Court decision. Thank you, as always, for speaking with us.
My pleasure.